You are an educator. You have a choice of virtual worlds. You can go where you choose. What makes SpotOn3D.com different? Our easy press tools make presentation native. Easy inventory go from grid to grid. Universal registration. Universal avatars. EduMerge and micro-community. Community Conference Center, 100 people on a cloud, free forever accounts with 5 avatars, premium membership with full production level skills, protection. SpotOn3D.com. Different. And welcome back to GRIDwrap. We've had a little week off for Thanksgiving, and now we're back and more energized than ever. And this week, I'm very happy to say we're welcoming back Tessa Harrington, a co-host of Spot on 3D.
Hello, everyone.
Tessa. Do you have a good Thanksgiving week?
Oh, yes, it was very good. Thank you.
I bet you rested all the way through it, didn't you?
No, I worked.
Yeah, there you go. And, of course, Vryl Valkyrie, well known from 3D Concepts. Welcome, Vryl, and thank you for coming on the program. Okay, well, we'll wait till Vryl comes back because I did hear a door going at one moment, so I'm wondering if she's had to go and sort out something in the back. But this week we're going to be talking about... Oh, right. This week we're going to be talking about cyberbullying. Well, today we're going to be talking about cyberbullying, which seems to be growing apace on the net. It was something that came out of experiences from people close to NBC, in fact. And Tessa,
Yeah.
This is a subject close to your heart. Do you want to kick us off?
Okay, sure. Where do you want to start at?
I want to talk about cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying.
I mean, just explain to everybody what it is. I'm sure everybody in Second Life knows, but sometimes people haven't experienced it out on the wider net or even thought of the concept, really.
Well, it has anything to do with, mostly you'll find it in forums where there's, the anonymity of the Internet so far. I think that's changing, though, because of this kind of behavior. Has fostered a kind of attitude that you can say whatever pops in your head without even think about it. I mean, we know that our mothers always taught us to think before you speak. And that seems to have been thrown out the window in the modern day of the Internet. It seems like if people feel like their real name isn't attached to it, that they can cower behind a facade of a character and say whatever runs in their minds, whether it's truthful or not. Even committing things of slander and harassment to the point of, with people who are more vulnerable, like teenagers and young people and people with mental illnesses, actually, some committing suicide. Others committing crimes against those people because, you know what, you're really not anonymous. If somebody really wants to get to know who you are, it's not difficult. It just takes an IP and a service provider and some loose lips or some good investigating to find out who is behind the avatar or the person in the room. And I think that's something we've not thought about, but there have been cases where, people have retaliated from being bullied in forums and blog rooms and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's pretty hideous. And I think an extension of that is the cell phones, because you get the kids using them more than the Internet because that's their ready access all day long. And, they do things that us adults would cringe to do. Like my child, he freaked me out because he was webcamming with people. But then I realized, at least he knows they're teenagers his age and not some adult pretending. So I decided not to say no to him camming with friends. So I could walk up behind him and see too, and wave to them and say hi. So they knew he was really a kid and had a parent who cared. So, but they're braver than us, and I thought it was a pretty ingenious way to kind of cut through the BS, if you will, and get to the real heart of the issue. And he's found that people who are more likely to be on cam are less likely to be, abusive.
Mm. Okay, I'm just going to try. Yeah, I'm just going to try Vryl again. Vryl, can we hear you yet?
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. Come back. She came back to us. Thank goodness. You could hear her out in the audience, but not here. Okay, so you heard what Tessa said. I mean, have you had experience of this?
Well, yes, I have, and it's interesting that we're discussing cyberbullying today because there actually is an article in the New York Times today. Well, actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't today. It was several days ago, and it's about cyberbullying in the New York Times, November 26th. And I'll just copy and paste this link out for the audience. And this is kind of I think there's a lot of variations here. So I think sometimes, to play the devil's advocate, even though I myself have been a victim of cyberbullying, I've also been accused to cyberbully just because of the kind of work that I do. And I think that, sometimes we can also find ourselves, guilty of being called cyberbullying without realizing it. I think, like Tessa said, from that, angle, sometimes people are hidden behind pseudonyms and they might do things normally they wouldn't do. But I think also there could be times where, we can get carried away and we think that we're on the right side of the law when in fact maybe what we're doing is also considered to be cyberbullying, as in it can go to the extreme, as in the case of this New York Times article.
I'm just looking at the Times article right now, and what it's talking about is a customer who bought something on the net and then rang up to say they got the wrong product or something like that, and the customer service guy, or at least the owner, the seller of the goods, started shouting at her, calling her a bitch, and it escalated from there. And I was reading earlier on where actually somebody has actually increased his sales. He said that he got completely fed up with customers moaning and groaning on the net whilst he was selling stuff, and in the end he just lost it. And he said what has happened is that people have now, the word has got out that this guy is a complete creep and that he's very rude to his customers, and people are Googling him. So they're Googling him, and that has been leading to more sales. So that for him, who is being perceived as a bully and presumably a cyberbully because this is happening on the net, it's actually working out for him. It's not working out for the children who are committing suicide because they're bullied so severely, is it?
Exactly.
Yeah, we hear about that.
I mean, I think there's lots of different variations with cyberbullying, and I think that we should look at all the different angles just to make sure that we ourselves don't go over the deep end. I know myself that I feel like there have been times that I went too far because I was provoked so much, and that's also not okay. And I think that we shouldn't just look at it as someone who is being victimized, because there's lots of different cases of cyberbullying, and none of it is okay, in my personal opinion.
So there's an etiquette to there's an etiquette to being on the net, isn't there? There's an etiquette to being on the net. However, that etiquette is sorry.
We've lost our manners. We've lost our civility, and a lot.
Civility, exactly.
It's gone out the window because there is no accountability. And I think that has to change. And I think there's a growing movement to make that change. And, because it's just, we can't keep going like this. This is the kind of things that wars develop over. It seems absolutely idiotic to think that, but wars have started over smaller things. And this kind of behavior does nothing but promotes the most base behavior of the human nature. And I think it's ludicrous for us to sit back and say it's okay.
Now, Mal
Right.
Burns has brought up something interesting because he's talking about the anonymity. He feels that the anonymity of the net, the ability to be able to be rude to someone with presumably no comeback to yourself, is what's encouraged people to do this.
Yeah, and I think there's a fine line between what's considered to be a cyberbully and somebody who has just been utterly provoked to the point where they feel like they've been pushed in a corner. There's lots of different variations to this here as well.
Well, yeah, I know. I was. It's very hard because I know there's a certain forum out there that I served through a few people. I got trampled in the mud by them, and all because I wrote something that was too addish, and then had somebody else try to help me write something that wasn't so much like an ad, and then get accused of being that same person. And anyone else who came to my defense, they had to be me too. And it got to the point where I would have had to add 8 alts to be what they said I was. But it got to, it got to the point where they were saying Tessa spreads her legs for business. If you go into Spot on 3D, you get herpes. And really, that we were saying bad things about in-worlds after they had been guests on our show, and it's like, it's absolute rot, and you feel so tempted to respond in kind. But thank goodness I have a lawyer for business partner, and he ordered me not to.
Be quiet. Now, Widget Whitebrace
My lawyer
is
also
asking,
told me to stay out of those forums. I mean, I've the same thing that happened to me even just yesterday, the same forum that you're talking about, and I just said, I'm not going to respond, and I'm actually friends with the owner of the forum, and I said to him, I says, please just keep my name out of that forum. I'm not even a member of that forum. But you know what? In all due fairness, it's not that forum. It's any forum. All forums are like this. I mean, It's not that one particular forum that you're referring to. It just seems to have become the norm in most, of the forums, in my opinion.
There are some
Widget Whitebrace has asked a question.
Yes, but I
here.
mean, I'm
She
just
said,
saying, it seems to bring out the worst in people because people can, hide behind anonymity and hide behind a pseudonym, and they feel confident, to say things that they wouldn't say to you normally face to face, unless they're New Yorker. No, I'm joking.
Okay, Widget Whitebrace has asked a question here about defining. She said, can we describe several cases of cyberbullying so that we are clear?
Well, like I said, when somebody says I spread my legs to get business, that is cyberbullying. When somebody asks a forum, have you heard about Spot on 3D, and they attack that person just for asking, and then promote another grid, which I won't say because it'll imply that that grid is promoting this kind of behavior, and I don't think they are. And I won't even say the forum's name because it will only create more traffic for them, and they don't deserve it, quite honestly. Was it libelous? Yes. Was it slander? Yes. But,
But it's also bullying by your peers,
it's also
isn't it?
bullying. Absolutely.
It's a form of bullying.
I don't consider people like this my peers. I'm sorry, Dousa. They
No.
are in my range of company. Even my worst enemy, I would not say they spread their legs or that going to their business would give somebody herpes. I mean, this is
It's crude.
It's crude. It's rude. It's most base behavior as possible, and it's doing that for a reason. But I should.
And what is the reason? Well, okay, Tessa, what is the reason? Why are they doing that?
Because they are very gung-ho on another grid.